We need space to be ugly. We need space to be flawed. We need space to embrace our imperfections. We need space to not be normal. We need space to not be beautiful. We need space to be average. We need space to be okay with being strange. We need space to be ourselves, even if our true face is a troll. Even if our true face is kind of like Fiona when she turns into the creature of Shrek. We need space to be Fiona and Shrek. But how can we do that in a world today? When the world sees perfection as a model, as a picture that's unflawed, a perfect picture that's never changing, that's never evolving, that just stays the same year in and year out. How can we appreciate ourselves being around another person with that type of perception? To wake up perfect, to go to sleep perfect. What is perfect? But a man-made opinion, a man-made creation, a man-made fantasy. But this fantasy is corruption to humanity, to those individuals who just want to be themselves, who doesn't want to be anyone else. We constantly put people in a position to not want to be no one else but that image on the wall of perfection. So get into a relationship. This makes it hard for anybody to get into a relationship. This makes it hard for anybody to want to be in a relationship with someone else. It makes it hard because I don't want to wake up every day checking my face. I don't want to feel obligated to the mirror. I don't want to constantly be in the mirror, seeing if anything's wrong with me for you. How can you fully appreciate the mirror if you're using it to constantly correct your flaws? This makeup is a tool used against us so that we won't ever be able to embrace who we are, to embrace our natural skin, to embrace our natural hair, to embrace every freckle on our face, regardless of what anyone else has to say. Mirrors are a weapon used against us because, for one, it's man-made. A lot of people are kind of waking up to realization of what it's like to be around other people. This one guy said it's like a crowded space. It's like, he said the world is already overpopulated. I need my space. And I felt that. I need my space. We all need our space. We need our space to be free, to be ourselves. But how can you do that when every time you go around the corner is somebody pointing a finger and picking at you, making you feel a certain way? And the only way we can be ourselves or be free is to isolate ourselves away from everybody. And who knows how long that could take. Sometimes it may be a healing. The fact that you want to isolate yourself, it sounds like, oh yeah, I'm miserable. But no, it's not misery. It's your healing. Because this is the only way that you can heal from everybody and anybody that's trying to destroy you. They don't want you to evolve. They don't want you to bloom. They want you to be that flower like this in a cocoon. They don't want you to flourish. Because if you do flourish, then you'll be stepping out of line of all civilization. The world is already changing. Could you be free? Waking up with somebody next to you with a different perspective of beauty? When we were all raised to see beauty was the same thing. A picture, a model, an actor. But even then, they get old. It may not seem like it because they got all the resources in the world to make it seem as though they're not perishing, but they are underneath it all. They just prolong the situation. They can prolong it. But they're all human at the end of the day. They're all human. They're all just like you. They're all just like me. Even if it seems as though they're not. And a lot of those celebrities is breaking out of that jail. You know? They're breaking out. And not in a way that they want to. There's a lot of celebrities that's falling off. They're losing their stuff. Jennifer Hudson is one of them. There's one more that I can't think of. But it was her as well. There's people that's getting dementia, but I don't count that. And maybe it is something, because maybe you have to lose your memory and lose all the knowledge of this world to actually rediscover who you are untouched. This is God giving them another chance to rediscover them, because it's never too late. There's celebrities that's going through a breakdown, realizing that, this music isn't enough expression, because they have to do it a certain way. They have to write it a certain way, and it's really holding them back. Those little pieces, and those, just like on a page, those little spaces between the words, those need filled too. And eventually those spaces accumulate. It adds up, and it's like they become larger than the original text. And those spaces need to be let out. Those spaces need expressed, because when we make a space on a page, when we make a space right in between the words, that's just us holding ourselves back from what else we have to say. But we can't say it because of our position in life and the requirements. You're not required to say this. The only way this can be put out there is if you say it a certain way, and this is holding you back. So now all of those spaces in between those words is added up to the point where these artists, these singers are suffocating, and they're finally letting out what else they had to say on top of what they said that was critiqued by other people and by the world. So now they're breaking out, and they're yelling out, and they're screaming out, this is what I actually meant. This verse or this song is not even half of what I have to say. The way we express ourselves is unlimited. It is so much that we can pour and pour and pour and pour for hours. But these pages, this pencil, these pens, the world, it's man-made. It's a limitation. It's limiting us so that we don't say too much, because we have so much to say. We have so much to say. You can write a book this thick, and it's not even half. So like I said, living with another person or being with another person, that person has to be on the same level as you. That person has to see you. Just see them the same way as they see you. See you as the same way as they see them. Nothing more, nothing less. Because you're manipulating the situation if you don't. Or if you do see more or you see less, you're manipulating the situation, and that person is going to feel shackled. That person is going to feel like a bird in a cage, and eventually they're going to leave. Back then, in marriages and relationships, yeah, it was easy because we all were trained, we were all conditioned to go against ourselves, go against what we actually want, go against freedom. We put ourselves in a position of, we got to do this, we got to do that, like we're working at a job or we're working a certain position, and we have to force ourselves to be there. And that's how relationships was back then. But God is saying now, I like this version of you. And anyone who's going to be with my child is going to be with this version of you. And they're going to be just like it's just like what God says. If they accept me, they can have you, because I'm with you. But if they don't accept me, then they won't accept you. They won't accept us. So what God actually said is more so of, if they don't accept me, they'll be cursed. If they accept me, then they'll be a part of the same journey. I'm kind of, it hasn't been a while since I read that verse, but it's more so from my perspective. But yeah, and I'm not trying to rearrange the words. I'm just speaking it as, I'm speaking it from my interpretation of that verse, what I got from that verse, the message that I got from that verse. So it's basically transparency. The relationship has to be transparent. He got to see through you. She got to see through you like a glass of water, pure. Don't add no coloring to it. You add some coloring to it, boom. You just made a expectation. You put expectation and a limit on this relationship because now you expect that water to be a certain color. Every time. The more you see that color, the more you're going to say, oh yeah, I want this glass to be, I really like this color. And you start loving that color. And that's the only color you want to see. I really like this color. Now you can accept that person for their actual color of transparency, clear. Not blue, not red, not green, clear. But that's what the world does. That's what men does. They have this glass of water. God gives them this glass of water, pure. This is your glass of water. And then God works with you too. So eventually you'll be reflecting that same glass of water. And that's the compatibility. That's where compatibility comes into place. Now y'all are compatible. But I gave you this glass of water and you didn't pour some freaking green or blue food coloring in my glass of water that I gave you. And now this is what you expect to see. That's not how it works. So now y'all are incompatible. Now I have to work on her again. And I'm going to have to let you go. Because this is what you expect out of her. Life is man-made and full of playing. And it comes to a point where playing is exhausting. We wake up and we're like, you know what? We want serious. We were taught to be serious. But then we become serious and the world seems like the playground. Like, was y'all ever serious? But I'm supposed to be serious. I was grown up and raised to be serious. And you're like, oh snap, I didn't expect this person to be so serious. But now that I'm serious, the world is play. It's full of play, play, play. And we're at a point where we're evolving to where we only want real. We want truth. If anything, we don't want to play anymore. We want to dwell and bask in the truth because the truth can be happy. We can be happy with the truth. If you want to play around with the truth is always going to be, revealed. But this is what the world is. This is how the world is. So before you get into that relationship, it has to be transparent. It has to be that glass of water without any food coloring. The goal is to dance with the souls. Dance with the skeleton. Dance with y'all skeletons. Because everything on the outside, it has its part. And that's another thing. Who we are came from somewhere. So don't say, the outside doesn't matter. Because the outside is where you came from. The outside is your shell. You have to get to know the shell. So if you want to get to know the shell, how can you get to know the shell if you keep coloring on the shell or painting the shell to the color you want the shell to be, or throwing some gemstones on the shell because you want the shell to be sparkly, but then you'll never get to know the shell for actually what it came from. We came from somewhere. We are our roots. And that's what matters the most. We are our roots. That's interesting enough. That's fascinating enough. So if you want to get to know a person, get to know their roots. It's like a book that has never been read. African tribe, Indian tribe, Asian tribe, the food they eat, differences. It's all about the differences as well. See me more than what you've learned. See me more than what you learned. See me more than that object of perfection. Because truth is, there's no such word. But, like I said, this world makes it hard to believe that because, you know, we all know all the reasons why. We can go out there and be like, oh yeah, you know, we can go get this, we can go do that, you know. And that just makes it harder for the truth. What actually matters. And it makes it hard for those who are actually evolving in the truth. Because at the same time, the truth is coming and evolving. At the same time, these lies is pretending to be doing the same thing as the truth. Like a real tree or a real flower growing, and then we go and we get like some type of AI, artificial intelligent plant that looks like it's growing and it's evolving the same way as the truth. That's how life is, and it's just making it more complicated for us to decipher between the two.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Be notified and share at your own free will to show you care.